I just turned 35 today, and gotta say, I feel it. I feel like I'm maybe like 50. I guess that's what the kids would look at me like, you know? You know, if I wasn't going through a midlife crisis already, 35 will definitely make you doubt that. So, I've been looking at my hairline for the past couple of years. I gotta say I'm not happy with it. I've also been cutting my own hair since I was 15. Now see, it must have been like 8th grade when I started cutting my own hair. I didn't like, I think, the way that my mom cut my hair. I also didn't like the shape of my own head. So I've been cutting my own hair since then, and I'm 35 now, so that's at least 20 years of cutting my own hair. And so I decided, I think I'm just gonna show you how I do that. I've changed my hairstyle so many times when I realized, oh, this isn't working for me anymore, or emo is dead, stop doing a faux hawk, or something like that. So I was doing that thing where you part it and then you keep it really tight on the sides, but a lot of fading. There's always been fading involved. I normally just let the top grow, but I always keep the sides cut pretty tight, and so I'm going to show you how to do that with clippers. If you don't know anything about this, because if you do know about it, then you're not going to be listening to me on how to cut your hair. So taking just regular clippers, using these, and it depends on the shape of your head. I can't stress that enough. If you don't like your ears, if they come out too much or something, or you have some funny bump on the back of your head and you need to start your fade at a different spot or whatever, you're trying to make your head not look weird with your hair. I think that's my objective always. So over the years, I think I used to start with 1/4 inch, which is also called a 2, you know, just for the lowest setting, and then I've gone all the way down to either nothing, where I just extend right there, to the 1/8 inch or the 1 clip. As I go, it varies. Like I'll use this on the lower parts, and then I will move up to this one to help me make sure that I don't gouge things out, because once again, I am just using my own eyes in a mirror and a second mirror. If you do want to cut the top of your hair, I'll just go like this, but hold it like this instead of against the skin. Or I will just take this off and then use the tops of my fingers, and you're not gonna cut yourself. I mean, unless you do something horribly wrong, you have to try to cut yourself with these. So I just use the tops of my fingers and eyeball it, because honestly, the top is going to be combed in different ways. If you're going to spike your hair, you have more problems, I think. I guess if you're cutting your hair and you have similar hair to me, like very thin hair, and possibly even getting lighter and lighter in the front, you should never gel your hair. I don't even know if people still gel their hair. It might come back again, but you shouldn't gel your hair. And if you do gel your hair, you shouldn't do it in such a way where your hair looks permanently wet. So if you gel your hair and you let it dry, I would recommend then going back over it and brushing the wet look out of it, because what happens is your hair clumps together, and then it'll make your hairline, it'll make you look like you're balding even if you aren't, if you have very fine hair. So that should be something you figured out in high school, but a lot of people don't pay attention. So what you're gonna need is, a kit with a couple clips and a mirror that's hopefully bigger than this. This thing's ridiculous. The first thing you want to do is, if you woke up with bedhead like me, you're gonna want to wet your hair completely or wash it. I just wet it and get it completely wet, like soaked, so that it disrupts any of the matting that has happened over the night. And then I dry it as much as I can. It can be slightly damp still, and then you should be fine. So now that oh my God. So once your hair is mostly dry, then you can get going. What I would suggest is, depending on the style that you're going for, I would suggest combing it and trying to style it that way before you cut it. I know that sounds weird, but it helps. So let's say you have a part, right? You want to have this exact part, and then fade up to that, and then have the top longer and then fade the side. You're going to want to have that exactly in place first so that you see what it's going to look like cut. Honestly, the top is going to be, you know, messy or something, but at least you'll see the clear fading of what that's going to look like around the sides as best as you can. So for me, I stopped doing the line because I feel like I looked like a Nazi youth, and then also I didn't like what it was showing my hairline up front a little too much. Like, I'm not really supposed to lose my hair genetically, so I think if I am losing my hair and it's not just looking like I'm losing my hair, me being paranoid or whatever, I would say it's because of stress and environmental toxins. I've lived in LA for like 15 years, and I mean, your lung capacity, if you're born in a metropolitan area, is going to be 20% less of someone who's born in a rural area with less pollution. That's just the data, that's the statistics. I don't see why that wouldn't be an obvious factor. So the other thing is, you want to make sure, if you are a man-child like me and someone else cleans up all your messes, you're going to want to make as little of a mess as possible so that the person, your mother or your wife, doesn't hate you. So try to move like soap and stuff like that off the counter, and make sure that you have a clear space under your feet that you can wipe up the hair with toilet paper or your hands and get it into the trash bin or the toilet. I would suggest not flushing it down the toilet, because then the hair ends up getting all around the edges anyway. I would also recommend plugging the sink drain. So, I'm 35, and I feel like I look 35. I look at least 35. 8 years ago, I would have people coming up to me daily, multiple times a day, saying, "Oh wow, you look so much like Ryan Gosling," which is funny. He's a normal looking blonde dude, and I think that when people see blonde dudes that just have that same shape, like physical shape, large forehead, they're blonde, and they're tall maybe, that they're going to say they look like Ryan Gosling. That's just going to be the thing, even if you don't have the same facial features or whatever. Now I get people comparing me to the governor off of The Walking Dead, and that's sad. That's sad. So I'm just gonna cut my hair now, right? I normally have my shirt off, but this is for your benefit. So I start with the smallest clip and I work up. If you have a beard, I recommend trimming the beard at least down to here, down to your jaw, the same length as up here roughly. So what I'll do is, since I'm using the one for the sides, at least up to like this point right here, I'm going to trim down to here with this. I'm also going to clean up the beard area a little bit too, because if you don't know, I mean, most people have this same issue, not patchy hair so that you can't really grow a good beard, but it all grows at different lengths. So by keeping it trimmed, it's going to grow in fuller without these random long hairs poking out that make you look disheveled. So I'm trying to grow out my beard a little bit more to cover my face, because I'm clearly not happy with myself anymore. So I'm gonna stick with a 1/2 inch clip, and let's see how much actually comes off of those longer hairs. Yeah, I think enough's coming off. We are in the middle of quarantine right now too, so I mean, no one's gonna see me like this. Not even anyone who's who I'm making the video for. I don't know who I'm making this for. The other thing you can do, if you have hair like mine, which is very light hair, thin hair, you have neck hair but it's not that intense, you can just put it at the lowest setting and get away with not shaving for a couple days. Just go against the hair. So go up to, this is the other thing. If you have a beard, never bring the beard up to your jawline. Like, don't cut it all the way up there. Don't be George Lucas. Don't bring it up to try and like show that that's where your jawline is. Bring it to where your neck is. Put your tongue to the roof of your mouth. That's your neck tucked in as far as it's gonna go. So right there is probably where you want your beard to go. I would suggest taking your mirror and from the side marking it, and you can cut down this way on that to make sure you get the line. And then the other thing, which will take away slightly from the line that you have, the line is not as important, especially when it's under. The thing is, it's combing down. No one combs their beard up. So what you want to do is you kind of want to trim away a little bit of these longer hairs down here, or it's going to look really thick down here and really light up here. That's if you are like me and you have a weak beard. If you have a weak beard. So what I do is I try to fluff it up a little bit and then float above, bring it just by to try and get any of those longer hairs that you couldn't get before. So I put this on my skin right here, but then I tilt it away. And so I'm barely getting any of the hairs, but it's just enough. I actually will shape the soul patch that is not overbearing. If you look from the side, it's weird to be able to see through someone's beard. No one like me should grow a beard if you can see through it, is what I think, and I'm just in denial. So, and then it's always good to get your cheeks. A lot of people won't realize that they have hairs on their cheeks, and then people will get close to them and they won't want to tell them, but it looks really bad when you've got hair coming out of your cheeks. A lot of people have some that are just stragglers up high, and so just especially if you have darker hair, my hair only gets this dark because I'm not in the sun, but yeah, it's worse when you have darker hair. And no one's gonna tell you because they don't want to hurt your feelings and they don't want to have that awkward conversation and see the look on your face when they tell you that you've got weird hairs growing out of your cheeks. So just trim it, make sure that you don't have to make this line perfect. Less is more on the beard. Like, don't cut it up, don't make that weird chin strap thing. That was never cool. That was never cool. Neither this thing, yeah, don't do that. So now I'm ready to actually trim up the sides. So I'm gonna put the one on. And you can even try to do this. And once again, go with the shape of your head. Maybe start higher up or go lower down. And then that makes your face look a little less fat. If it's been starting to get fat, see? Depends on your face type though. It's always good to get around the ears, just get that out of the way. If you know you're gonna start fading right up here, then you can work all that other stuff without having to think about if you're cutting into hair that you shouldn't be. I know that my hair goes this way in the very back, so I purposely go against it to get as close in as I need to because of my cowlicks. Understand the way your hair goes, maybe look at it closer if you haven't ever looked at it. Once you've done the first pass around your ears, it's important to then go and take this off and go very close and trying to get all those little extra hairs that might have missed the clip. It's important not to forget that because it will show up, especially if you're going really close. Then people will see like these weird stragglers hanging out, and you can try and like cut around, make sure that you have a line. Don't cut out too high because you don't want to be Forrest Gump. So now I'm going to work on the fade. The other thing is I actually leave it, I don't go all the way. I kind of lift it up a little bit so that it's a little bit longer around the hairline right here for me. And the reason for that is because my hair is very light, meaning like you can't see it. I have hair all the way out to like right here, but if I cut on the one clip, you won't be able to see any of those hairs anymore because they're so light colored when they're short. So if I do that, then it'll make my forehead look even whiter. So what I do is I actually lift up and I end up making it roughly a 1/4 inch on, closer to the line, right, just like right up here, going up, and then I'll even fade higher. You won't even be able to notice really, but it's important if you have light hair like me, or you are insecure about how wide your forehead is. If not, then don't worry about it, because you don't have my problems, which aren't really problems. So I'll start fading up from here. I didn't go right to the very front. I'll hold it right there, and then I will gradually take it back, and I'll go make multiple passes this way to make sure that I'm getting the lower stuff, and then I'm just incrementally taking it off because I'm trying to make it straight vertical line. It's like salt in food. You can't take the salt out if you've added too much, so it's best to go the safe route and just pull away at the top a little bit until you get further and further out and know what you're working with. At this point, I will actually switch to the 1/4 inch clip and take it up all the way as far as I want to go with the fading, and then I will come back and I will use the smaller 1/8. And then I go up as high as I want to go, which is going to be different for everyone. If you don't want your head to be so square, if you want it to be more rounded, then take it up higher. You can always do it differently next time. I find that I always regret when I make it more squared looking. So I'm actually not pressing down all the way. When I'm up at the top here, I'm going like this, which is clearly not the clip length, and then as I take it further down to shape this, I'm bringing the clip in a little bit more. And I'm just eyeballing, at least right now. I'm eyeballing the whole thing. This is your own head. Also move your hair around a bit so that you can see if you're getting everything. One of the reasons why I will always do my own hair is because I don't like the back of my head. I don't like this. There's a bump right here. And so if someone else were to do this and they were to start my fade higher than this bump, then I would have this weird awkward shape thing, and I don't like that. Yes, I could just tell someone, but I still don't trust anyone else. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to bring it with the 1/8 inch clip. I'm going to bring it up as high as I can on that bump without going above it. As I do go above it, I make sure to lift off a little bit, and then I can always bring it in closer and closer as I go. See, the clip's not even touching anymore. See the pulling away at the top? So now I'm going to switch back to the 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to hit the top area. Now, I have this line that I'm thinking about, which is the peak of my hair goes all the way back to there on the side, and so I want my invisible line, the line that doesn't necessarily exist, it at least needs to not come further down than when my hair starts coming back in, and it needs to not be higher than when my hair starts coming back in again on the top. So for me, that's where your part should probably be if you're doing the whole buzzed all the way up the sides and then fully combed over with no fade. Was that an undercut? Anyway, so I'm just going to come up, just pull off as I come up to make sure that I don't cut any of these extra hairs that I kind of want to help balance out the shape of my head. So I try and keep this hair over. I would be fully trying to keep it over if there was an exact part that I was doing, but I'm also trying to kind of cover up my hairline now, so. Also bringing it around the back. This is when you start needing to bring out your mirror. You can start going above whatever weird shape that you have on the back of your head. But always pull away a little bit and you can take it in further as you go. If you have 2 mirrors on the wall, that's awesome. Then you don't have to hold something up and you can just turn it out. And then you can use your other hand to hold your hair if you need to. Especially in the back, making sure that this doesn't get too long is really important. So if you see that this is starting to be just a huge difference, yeah, you should probably taper this being shorter than the front hair, just ever so slightly. If not severely. It's up to you. See, I can even bring it up all the way up there and start nicking those hairs as I pull it off. And then bring it all the way close when trying to go down and meet the fade with a shorter clip. See, there's all this hair that I missed down here that I hadn't gotten to yet with the one clip. So I'm gonna go shorter with all of that stuff again, but I'm working this up to the top fade. And now, since I know that my hair is not working in this direction, I'm gonna bring it this way. It's like you're combing it back for yourself. You just pull off the top. Go lighter and lighter as you get closer to the top. I'm not even touching the clip to my head at all. I'm using these as like guides where I can just barely feel it almost to my skin or to my skin. And I'm trimming, going against that other hair. Now I'm going to switch back to the one so that I can then again meet the hairs that have been faded up with the one with the ones that have been faded up with the 2. Really make sure that I've got that line. I've come up to that bump in the back. Always want to do it from both sides. And then pull it off as you get closer and closer. I am not touching them, I'm just shaping now according to the profile. And then I go back to the sides again and try to work my way up again. Look at it from every angle you possibly can to make sure that you haven't like dug in too far or left a huge patch, which is why a bigger mirror helps. When it looks like you've dug in too far in one area, you might just have to take more off the higher up area. In fact, you definitely do. You should always do that. And then you can at least round it out. And so maybe you didn't take off too much before. Maybe you dig in and make it worse, but it is a learning experience and you're never going to get good at this until you do it. And what better time than quarantine? See how my line is slightly tapering in rather than just going straight up like I'm trying to do a flat top. It's tapering in just ever so slightly. Alright, so after that, the only thing that I've ever had people help me with in cutting my hair is just making sure to get a line in the back. So I can cut the neck hair up to where I think the line is roughly, but then I'll get my wife to get the line, but I can always just turn around directly if I really want and just go all the way. Look at it from this side. Make sure you get the line on the side here. Having really light hair like mine does not help. So look at it from that side, then look at it from this side. And yes, you will have to switch hands. And I always taper it in a little bit on the edges. And that's how I cut my hair right now. But still not happy with it. And the way that I've been combing my hair lately, without having like the clear line like that, Doesn't it look like you can't even... Where's my actual hairline? It's very unclear. Makes it look like I'm trying to hide that I'm balding. So I feel like I should just cut it all off. I'm not, I would say I get depressed a lot, but I wouldn't say that I struggle with depression as an illness, like something that would need to be medicated. I get depressed over things that I should probably get depressed over. If I get depressed over something like someone has died, or my hairline looks like crap, or I realize that people don't like me, or people are, being fake to me, or I am being fake, or I am not doing what I wanted to do at this point in life, or anything like that, should I not get depressed over that? Should I not feel saddened? Should I not feel regret or anything that would bring me down? It's really weird to try and medicate to numb that, because that means that I'm not going to do something about it. I mean, I'm going to do something by just trying to forget it, by trying to mask it. And in reality, that should drive me to change something. And there's so many ways you could change things. You could just remove the thing from your life, the thing that's bothering you, that's taking up too much time. Whatever it is, you can change you. You can't change other people. That's not up to you. That's up to God. That's up to them. But it's not up to you. God could use you. You could be used to tell them something, but you cannot do the changing for them. You can barely change you. You might not even be able to change you. Or can you? I wonder. There's an argument about free will there. So, gosh, try to get all this stuff into the sink and not all over the floor where you are just making a mess for someone else. Yeah, I really don't like it. I am 35. When I turned 33, I did not feel good either. Jesus is the standard, and Jesus died for the whole world when he was 33, around that age. He had paid for the sins of the world by the age of 33, and I have done nothing but be selfish. The funny thing about self-love is it has nothing to do with you focusing on yourself. So one of the things that I do when I'm focusing on myself too much is I remove that thing. What do you think? A 1 or a 2? I'm just kind of sick of caring about what I look like. I'm 35. I'm married to a beautiful woman. There's no point in trying to impress people with what you look like. And the more you focus on what you look like, the more you are missing the point of this life. And that doesn't mean look like a slob, it just means seriously stop spending so much time caring about what you look like. So I should take some of that medicine. What do you think? What do you think about that hairline? That is high. I have got a forehead. I want to say this will help, but I feel like it's an early church father thing. There was this one dude, 2nd or 3rd century, and he decided to cut off. There's a verse that says, if your right hand causes you to sin, then cut it off. So he took that literally, and he emasculated himself. He made himself a eunuch. And he wrote later on that did not help with his issues of sin, his issues of lust, because it's all in here. So me cutting all of my hair off isn't going to help. Yeah. I already did it now. What do you think of my fade now? Man, that's bad. Funny thing is, I might start carrying more. That's the problem. Because then you feel insecure. I used to wear a beanie all the time, anytime I would do this. So, we'll see. Oh yeah, I think I went too short. See the bump on the back of my head? This part doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, I'm 35 years old, and now I look like a cancer patient. And I don't have an excuse like cancer for it. I've also made a huge mess. One less thing to be depressed over, though. It is what it is. Just embrace it. Embrace it. I think I'm gonna go order some stuff online to see if I can recoup my hairline.